live studio show here on MXGPTV.com with me, Paul Malin, and Lisa Leyland, where our guests today are Jason Tomas from Fly Racing. We've got Valentin Guillod coming in from Ship to Cycle, Honda Motor Blues SR. And then we've got Chris Hillard coming in from Alpine Star as Media Relations Manager for Alpine Star. So we've got a packed show to get through. But before we meet our first guest, Jason Tomas, Lisa Leyland, here we are. We're back at the beach. Are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, I am. Not very relaxing beach though, is it? Not really. Not my style of beach, but it is a beach.
It is a bit noisy. I'll give you that.
A little bit noisy.
But
yeah,
anyway.
but it's good to be back at normal, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially for all the local riders, teams. And
it's a busy one, isn't it? It's just a lot of hype in the paddock. It's good.
They're enjoying it at the moment. They seem very, very relaxed, bizarrely.
For now.
Yeah. Anyway, should we crack on with the show? Our first guest joins us then, Jason Tomas, Fly Racing. Last time we saw him was at Rio Lasado for the MXGP there of Sardinia. Good to see you, Jason. First of all, good to be back in Lommel. Track looks pretty heavy. It's going to be an interesting weekend, just real briefly.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season to watch from afar, right? We're busy with our own racing stateside, but the championships are heating up, and every time I feel like I have a good grasp on kind of what's happening, the momentum shifts, and I think we might be in the middle of that again. So it's been an interesting season, no doubt.
So what's your take on the MX2 category at the moment then, especially with the Nastan boys, because they're 1 and 2 in the championship. They've won the majority of the Grand Prix here. So what are your thoughts on how they've been performing, first of all?
Well, they've been incredible, right? Most of the wins have come from them, and I think when someone else picks up a win, it's because of a mistake between one of those two. They seem to be the class of the field, but I love the off the track. There seems to be a rivalry within the team there of who's the alpha within that team, who's going to win this championship. So the racing is phenomenal, but I sometimes love the lifestyle things behind the scenes and see how that's evolving, because remember, these are kids and they're going to be the future MXGP stars. So we're watching that kind of form right in front of our eyes. Well,
I remember saying in commentary last week that last week and this weekend, potentially big weekends for the MX2 Championship with the Nastan guys. Whoever, wins the GP and gains more ground on the other one, and then coming into this weekend, both very adept at riding in the sand. And I think proved that to be right at the moment, because Kai was very, very comfortable, very consistent. Lucas had that one win and then a crash. And that's something he's really got to get over quickly if he's going to challenge the second half of the season. Yeah, and that's, I think, been the story of Lucas this season. If he doesn't crash, a win is in the cards, right? And you could kind of carry that theme throughout the MX2 riders. Most of them can win, even Liam and these other guys, they can win, but Kai's been there each and every time, and his bad days are really when he's making up the points. He's getting wins when they're there, but the bad days are a little bit less bad. That's why he has a 46-point lead.
And how would you rate Langenfelder's campaign? Unlucky to break his collarbone in Portugal, but had that not have happened, could he have been challenging Lucas and Kai?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting season to watch because it's been quiet. He's sitting there. He hasn't had some of the fanfare, the multiple wins and things, but it's been a consistent, just continuing to add points. I almost think it's been similar to Andre Adamo's season a few years ago, where maybe he wasn't the superstar, but in the end, he just kept gaining points and kept gaining points quietly. I just don't know when you have two guys, Kai and Lucas Kunin, who are kind of breaking out, if that'll be enough. You're going to need to win a lot, I think, to become champion this year.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Andre Adamo. How about him? Liam Everts, 3 race wins, 2 GP wins for Everts. Just 1 race win for Adamo, no GP wins yet.
Yeah.
How do you see that panning out?
I think the bad days are too punishing for them. They've had bright spots.
Right.
Liam has had breakout rides, gets those first wins, but the poor days, the days where things aren't going well, the injury things to start the season, those have been far too punishing to really be in the championship fight. So they still have time to develop. They still have time to become champion one day. But I think they're learning valuable lessons about you have to be there each and every weekend. And if you're going to model a season, I would say look at Kai's season. Great, win races. But when things aren't clicking, he's willing to settle. He's willing to take a podium. He's willing to take a 4th or a 5th and continue that championship charge.
And obviously, Adamo's not riding this weekend because of his crashes last weekend. So tough blow for him in his championship. Switching gears to MXGP, 55 points between 1st and 3rd in the championship, 60 points per GP. This title is still very much up for grabs, isn't it? How do you rate Tim's season so far? Because he's the man in pole position, 36 points clear, 37 points clear, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's been very impressive. I know everyone's stateside, and it would be hard to argue the way that Jorge started his season, that everyone was kind of looking at, well, he's going to run away with this, right? He had all the momentum, but Tim's fought back, right? And he's had some help. The mud races have certainly gone, with Jorge struggled. They've gone his way a bit. But certainly no championship lead is ever given. You have to go out and earn that. And I think it's been kind of a renaissance year for Tim. He's really gotten back to the form that saw him become a prior world champion.
And he's been very, very consistent as well. And then you mentioned Prado there. He's won 7 Grand Prix so far this year, 5 more than he did last year on his way to the championship. He's also got 12 race wins, which is 2 less than last year, but he's still second and that far off the lead. Just goes to show how seasons can be different. You win more than you did a year ago, and you're still second, trailing by more than 30 points.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's the
obviously he had that DNF in
Sure.
Majora.
Yeah, and I think has the weather been the biggest factor? Because when I watch him race in the dry conditions on a typical GP, he looks to be the same guy. Is he as dominant? Maybe not, but he looks to be on world championship form, no question about it. But we've been experiencing one of the wettest GP seasons I can remember, and I don't think that's really gone his way. So I think every rider, no matter what position you're in, you're always looking for a silver lining. How do I explain what's going on? I think deep down he would look at it and the weather has been my biggest problem this year. Give me a dry situation. Give me weather like we're going to see here at Lommel this weekend, and everything's fine. I should be on top. We'll just have to see how the weather plays into that the rest of the way.
Okay, well, Jeffrey Hurlings, he seems to have rediscovered his mojo recently. But would you say, is he running out of time? Is he running out of GPs? And if you were to put your money on someone to win the title, Jason, who would it be?
It's hard to argue against the points lead that Tim has, right? That's such a cushion, and you just have more margin for error because there are going to be challenges for each rider. Everybody's going to face adversity. That just gives him a little bit more of a buffer. But for Jeffrey, I think this weekend is pivotal. Everyone knows this is Jeffrey Hurling's territory. Everyone's expecting him to come out of here with a win. So for him to really claw into this championship and be taken seriously, I almost think he has to get a 1-1-1 score. And that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask. But if you're asking how does he get back to where it's realistic, he's going to have weekends like that.
And actually this weekend, I mean, if you're a complete neutral and you don't care who wins the championship, whether it's Tim, whether it's Jorge, whether it's Jeffrey, this weekend, as you said, Jeffrey needs to go 1-1-1. And then he needs people like maybe Valentin, like Roman,
Yep.
or maybe Koldenhoff in there.
Get
and
in
then
there and
Jorge and Tim just to suddenly
Yep.
close everything back up.
Right.
Not great for the riders, but
Right.
great for us as a championship.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen for Jeffrey is he gets on a run and everything stays really static and it's a 1-2-3, 3-2-1 scenario and he doesn't gap the points, right? He's going to need a little help and he's going to need to be perfect. It's a really challenging scenario, but that's what happens when you struggle early. You put yourself into a hole, and then everything has to go perfectly your way.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Paul just mentioned Calvin Valentin, 4th in the points at the moment, 2 podiums in Indonesia. He seems to have found another level, hasn't he, in his riding?
Yeah, and Yamaha really needs that, right? He's the bright Yamaha spot. It's been a really difficult season for them. So, this is a track he should ride really well. He needs to, I think, just for their spirit going into 2025, just has some positive weekends. But also for Calvin, I think he can hang his hat on as I am the pride of Yamaha right now, right? So it puts him in a great position. He wasn't even a factory rider, right, for several years. So for him to now be the kind of shining light for that brand, I think it's a great moment for him.
But he's definitely plied his trade as a privateer with Gebben, winning GPs, getting on the podium. So
Yep.
that has all set him in great stead for where he's at.
Absolutely. And you look at the rise of that where everyone's like, he probably deserves a ride. He gets it. And now he is the lead rider. That says a lot for him.
Absolutely. Well, look, Jason Tomas, you're going to be joining us in MX2 and MXGP commentary throughout the weekend, RAM qualifying and all the races tomorrow. So we'll see you in the booth later. For now, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thank you both.
Our second guest is in with us now. Of course, Valentin Guillod. We'll catch up with him in a moment. But before we do, here's a little snippet from Behind the Gate, episode 10, Wrecking Ball. And it is everything to do with that wrecking ball, that carnage that was the second turn that took out half the field just a few weeks ago. Enjoy.
I don't think I've seen anything quite as dramatic as we saw at the start of MXGP Race 2. It literally was a wrecking ball. There's your title. Mattia Guadagnini going long track racing, ran the outside, wall of death, you know, kind of thinking he's going to drop in eventually, hopefully, and he did manage to. But Tim was there up front, and you kind of just sensed maybe desperation, maybe from Jorge trying to get behind him immediately. But he had Siwa and Guillod, and then a gap that wasn't really there. But he thought, well, I'm just going to go there anyway.
Oh, we got riders down! Domino effect, wow! Haven't seen anything like that before. Bikes and bodies all over the place and through the next turn. We need some super slow-mo to dissect that, but there are some riders down there. Let's see who survived it, shall we?
Siwa stayed up, Guillod went down, Prado went down, and pretty much half the field. It was just, it kind of never stopped. It was never ending. 2 or 3 went down, then 4 or 5, then 6 or 7, then 10 or 12. And the Jorge Prado was at the bottom of it.
Bent handlebars, damaged leg, he was limping away. It's going to be a tough race for him from here. Advantage, Tim Geiser at the top of the championship table for now. Prado rides off. His GP is over. A massive dent in the championship at the halfway stage.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our live studio show here on MXGPTV.com with me, Paul Malin, and Lisa Leyland. Our second guest joins us now, Valentin Guillod from Ship to Cycle Honda Motor Blues SR. And yeah, currently 10th in the championship. Good to see you, Valentin. First of all, describe your season so far, because when you look at the results on paper, very, very similar to last year. 1 position different and 1 point different to where we were after round 13 in 2023.
Yeah, I think we are really happy with the season, how it goes. You know, we are an independent team with Ship to Cycle Honda Moto Blues SR, and my teammate is 8. I'm 10.
8 years old?
No, he's 8th place.
That was a good one for you, Paul.
Yeah.
That's quick.
Didn't even think about it.
So I'm 10. I'm 10.
Yeah, 10
Thank
years
you.
old.
Oh, that's good. Next year I'm racing 65 World
There we
Championship. Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
I wish.
The good old days.
No, so you know, we are an independent team racing 8, 10 in the championship, a lot of top 10 overall. So fighting with factory bike, I did one 4th place in Indonesia, 5 overall. So it's great for all the sponsor and the team and myself.
Absolutely. We joked about the age a moment ago. How easy or how difficult is it for you to stay motivated every year now? You know, because it's not easy the older you get, but you seem to be doing a great job. And actually, I think you're riding better than you ever have in this MXGP class.
Yeah, and really the big change is the mentality, my head. In one side, I'm a bit sad that I didn't have this mentality when I was 23 years old, but yeah, it's part of the life, you know. Sometimes you need a bit time to learn, and like the good time, you know, like the good wine, I'm getting better with the time, so so that's great, and feeling still young. For sure, my body is a bit sometimes swole. Really much from last weekend, because I had a massive crash in Loket, the first race. And I still don't believe that I'm not injured. So, yeah, it's great to be here speaking with you and racing in Lommel.
Cool.
Well, there doesn't seem to be any problems with your mentality or your motivation in Lombok 2. Best result of the season so far, 5th overall, 4th in that second race. You must have been pleased with that performance.
Yeah, was great. Still can't believe it.
Is
you know.
4th your best finish in a race in MXGP?
No, it was 3rd in Materle Basin in 2016.
Okay.
And also was my last top 5 MXGP.
No, but that
so
was
it
MX2 though.
No.
MXGP.
2016
Okay,
MXGP, yeah. First race I finished
Yeah.
3rd. Cairoli passed me in the last lap, unfortunately. But it was on Tony, so it's okay.
But yeah, back to this
Yeah,
race.
so
Yeah,
know,
Lombok.
Lombok was 8 years ago. I'm back in the top 5 overall of a GP. So yeah, never give up. It's great to see that when you believe in yourself, you do the job. In one moment, it's coming. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly that. But how difficult were those Lombok GPs with the heat, the humidity? A lot of the riders were suffering jet lag as well. It was a lot, wasn't it?
To be honest, the first GP I really struggled. The second race I explode. You know, I crash on the first lap, so then I push, and after 12 minutes, no fuel, finish. So it was difficult, the first one. The second one, I think, was better because we stay all the week there. We recover a bit, we have a good time, and yeah, I did a good start in the second moto, and yeah, I was on 4th place, and I say, okay, for sure, I'm gonna explode like the first weekend, so I give everything, and we're gonna see the result at the end, and I think everyone was suffering, and Prado and Silver were behind me, pushing, and I was still here, and yeah.
And when you don't expect it, it means more, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's the problem sometimes when you expect, you don't ride well. When you don't expect, you ride just natural and make a good result.
Well, there's been plenty of races so far this year where you've started up the front and, you know, been in the mix with the main players in the championship. As a rider, the more you're in these positions, does it help and give you the confidence to continue and to build? Because, you know, when you start in 15th, let's say you're in this group of riders, when you start in 5th and you're with the likes of, as we can see here, Roman and Jeffrey and Tim and everybody, you ride their pace for 2-3 laps, 3-4 laps. You get used to that, don't you? And it just brings you up another level. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, it's...
In some ways, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's like... the really thing, it's like, okay, we are an independent team. We don't have the same budget as the guys. Maybe 3-4 times less, even maybe more. But we can be there with them as I try to be as long as I can. And then it's normal that we drop, I think, because if they invest so much money and we don't, they are at the same speed as us, it's something strange in one side, you know. But, you know, I try to do always my best to stay with the guy. It's good for the sponsor. It's good for my head. It's good for everyone who is involved in that. And yeah, if we can stay with them, we stay with them. And then otherwise it's normal to drop a bit.
How good is it having a younger teammate? I think Kevin Horgmo is maybe only 23. In terms of, and I mean this, like, how good is it to have him maybe as a younger trainer? He's still keen, he's still full of energy. Is this helping you as well, you know? Because maybe some days you say, oh, I don't want to cycle today, and you have Kevin just come on, hey, come on, we must push, we must run, we must, you know.
Crazy.
Is it good? Is it enjoyable? Is it
you
fun?
guys get on well, though, don't you?
Yeah,
the two of you.
Yeah, it's going really great, both together. We've been all winter long together in south of France, and we have a good time also. We travel together, so that's good. I say, I do a nap this afternoon. And then I say, you slept good. Oh, no nap. What, you don't do a nap? But, you know, it's cool. It's cool. It's pushed me all the time. Yeah. And he's really good. He's motivated. He never complain, and that's really cool to have someone like this.
Cool.
Well, you're going to need a nap after this weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah,
we're back on the beach. We're back on the beach, but I'm sure you'd prefer maybe a beach by the ocean in the south of France somewhere.
No.
It's not going to be an easy one, is it?
No, for sure. I really like to ride in the sand and Lommel, but it's really not easy because like the track changed so much, and what you don't see from outside, it's how slippery is the sand.
Yes.
And this is one of the most difficult thing where I'm struggling, you know, that the bike is always moving, and one lap you pass, and the next lap the bike go left, right. So, but no, I think it can be a good weekend. I'm still missing a bit speed for fast lap, but I believe in myself that in the race I can do some good result, and we're gonna put around 12th position. For me will be a great Lommel.
Yeah. Well, look, Valentin, Guillod, we are out of time. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of the season and continue that building process.
Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Thanks, Valentin.
Our final guest is getting ready to join us now, but before we meet him, here's another snippet from Behind the Gate, episode 11 from Dragonfly, and this is Ferruccio Zanchi getting used to his surroundings close to the beach in Indonesia a couple of weeks ago.
So how many days ago did you arrive at this hotel? Yesterday, like afternoon around 4 p.m. And yeah, it's looking very nice, the place here. The beach is
quite amazing. I had a little bit of running yesterday, it was good, little bit hot, sweat quite a bit. The grass is cut, they cut it this morning, so fresh, because I said I will have behind the gate, so they prepare all the garden.
Ferruccio Zanchi, he's a young Italian rider. He did a few MX2 rides last year, but this is going to be his first official year in MX2, so he's a rookie.
Yeah, it's looking like holidays, but we are not yet in holidays, so non va a primo colpo. La gira. Everything order, eh? Thanks, Dad. Now here we have paradise. Paradise.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our final segment on this week's studio show here on MXGPTV.com with me, Paul Malin, and Lisa Leyland. Our final guest now joins us. He's the media relations manager for Alpine Stars, goes by the name of Chris Hillard, or, depending where he grows up and where he grew up, Chris Hillard, just to break the ice.
Yeah, no, that's the Somerset pronunciation. It's true. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, look, Chris, obviously you are from Alpine Stars. You've been here just doing an event in the media centre at the moment. What was the event? And tell us about it.
Well, yeah, I brought it with me. Actually, we were just in the media centre there because we're launching our the latest piece in our airbag technology products, which is the Tech Air MX, basically. So. We wanted to come to Lommel, iconic track, iconic race, kind of the home of MXGP, because we figured the significance was good. And so, yeah, we brought it here to show the media. We've been testing with riders this latest iteration of it. It's a product, actually, we've been developing for 8 years, if you can believe it. And we've had a few different versions of it to get to this point. But what we have now is a pre-production model with production parts, everything about it ready to go, but we just got to fine-tune it with athletes in this period.
So you've explained the product, but actually, how does it work?
How this works, I mean, let's say because airbags are quite a new concept to motocross,
yeah.
So at their core, what you have inside is an ECU. So there's an electronics board, there's a cartridge of gas, and then you have the airbag itself. And how it works, there's a gyroscope, there's 6 sensors, accelerometers, that are basically feeding data to the ECU, about 1,000 points of data per second. And what they can do is basically anticipate a crash before it happens. And then the whole idea is that the airbag deploys and then protects you before impact. The whole process can take around sort of 40 milliseconds for the deployment, and detection can be around sort of 25 to 30 itself. So in literally less than a blink of an eye, it can decide you're going to crash and protect you for that fall.
Wow, amazing. And what other benefits are there of an airbag?
Well, I think the core benefits of it, and thinking about, we started making airbags back in 2001. And we hit the MotoGP track in 2009 with them. At the time, collarbone injuries were a real problem in MotoGP, and that's the area we focused on when we first started making it, the collarbone and the shoulder. And then through the years of it being adopted and used by more and more riders, the FIM saw in 2018 such a drastic reduction in upper body injuries and in particular collarbone injuries that they made the technology mandatory across all classes of the championship as an example of it. But then on a physical example of this system, let's say you have a level 1 back and chest protector on this. With an airbag deployed, it's going to give you 4 times more impact protection than just the passive protector on its own.
Okay. And what would you say the challenges are of developing an airbag system in motocross compared to, like you mentioned, MotoGP and Dakar rallies and things like that? What are the differences in those challenges?
Yeah, I think, you know, when we first had an airbag department, I think it was very clear that probably the most difficult system to implement and make was a motocross one. But we've been gathering data since 2016, and actually you might think that the most difficult issue is the electronics, given the ruts, the whoops, the jumps, and everything that the riders go through here compared to other disciplines. But actually, it's more about making something that's wearable, making something that's breathable, which is difficult when it comes to an airbag because, you know, by their nature, they're not breathable. And just something that riders are willing to adopt and wear to ride these long and tough motos.
Yeah.
So a combination of getting all the data for the electronics and then packaging it into something that riders can use. That was probably the biggest challenge with it and why it's taken us 8 years to get to this point.
And just looking on the bottom left corner there, how do you activate it just really quickly? How do you turn it on? Because there are some lights there as well.
Yeah.
Normally, and stuff like that, normally?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, this is a really simple system to put on. You put it on,
Like
you know, it really looks
armor.
like a normal body armor. And that's, you know, by design, we want it to be something that people are familiar with. And so the way to activate it, you just put it on, and when you attach the left
Oh, yeah, look at the lights.
thing, you get the lights that come on the front. So you have the blue light that indicates the system is armed and ready. There's a green light here telling you the battery is okay. And then you can have 3 riding modes on the system. And so far we're only offering Supercross, Motocross on it, but with this button you can change which algorithm you're using for the type of riding that you're doing.
Yeah, important to know that. And how long has it taken this process? You know, I think you mentioned a little bit since maybe 2015, and how difficult have some of those challenges been?
I mean, the difficulty on it is just being able to sort of find time. What's been quite easy, I should say, is the fact our data logger is really small. So we've had a data logger on chest protectors of riders in the US, in MXGP for years and years and years. We were looking back through old videos, and there's, you know, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek data logging for us back in 2017, Tommy Sell having his crash data. So with that data, we can see where the airbag should have deployed. Even if the system's not active there, the data gives you all that information. So that's been, data collection's been the easy thing, but like I said, making something that riders are willing to adopt. So to start at a point where it really feels like a familiar protection piece as opposed to something regular. It works as a good roost guard. We use the same chest protector that all of our riders here use, all of our riders in the US use. So there had to be some familiarity to it. I think a major step in that was when chest protectors became mandatory in the championship, because the jump from wearing nothing to an airbag was way too big.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned that you're actually fine-tuning everything at the moment. When can the public expect to have the system available?
Because I guess this comes down to a bit of homologation, doesn't it, as well?
Absolutely, yeah. That is probably the most important point with it. You know, this is a pre-production model for 2 reasons. One, it gives us time, even though these components are finished components, the order that we made of them wasn't so big that we can't change them if we need to from repeat usage. But most importantly, the fact is right now there's no FIM homologation, there's no FIM regulation about airbags in motocross. And so, you know, and the reason for that is because they just need more information and need more data. So they don't want to make any decisions until they have enough info in front of them. So what we want to offer with this is a finished product that we'll be, you know, more than happy. We've spoken to the FIM, more than happy to share the data, share the information with them in order for them to make a structured, logical decision on how best to implement the technology. So this is why it's pre-production. This is why we want to come racing at the highest level. We do it with all our products. We did the same thing with our SM10 helmet. We came racing for a year professionally before releasing it to the market, and it's just the same process here with Tech Air MX as well.
Yeah. And basically the video that we saw in the background, the various riders there, that is the kind of rider test program that you're relying on to help with that, to help the homologation process.
Absolutely. I think it's been the history of Alpine Stars, 1963, Roger da Costa, our first development rider. Feedback he gave, helps us make the products. And same is true then as it is now. We use our top athletes to get that really fine detail information.
All right. Well, look, Chris Hillard, thanks for joining us here, and you know, great to see a new product on the market coming soon, and all the best with it. And yeah, enjoy your weekend here in Longmore.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
No problem.
Cheers.
Well, look, we are out of time here, but just a quick reminder, what's coming up on MXGP TV, starting just before 3 o'clock, we've got the Open Class Championship, we've got MX250, and then, of course, the RAM qualifying races. So from me, from Lisa, thanks to our guests. We'll take a week off, and then we've got 3 in a row in 2 weeks' time. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.